Alrighty, welcome everybody. We have another pipeline podcast for you guys. I'm very excited about today's podcast. We're going to be talking about what's on a lot of people's mind recently, and it's all about social media, AI, and branding, and how it affects today's marketing efforts. So, I wanted to formally introduce a couple of our guests for today. We have Brittany, who is our director of marketing, strategy, and operations. We also have Evan, one of our senior account strategists here at Mr. Pipeline, and Lorenz, one of the front-facing individuals for our clients and account manager. So with that being said, welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us. So we're just going to go ahead and sort of dive into things. So I had a couple questions in mind for you guys, and I wanted to start with you, Brittany. So which platforms do you think are performing the best right now? You know, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. What's your opinion on what platforms are really driving in results for clients?
Oh, we just diving right in. You're just gonna throw me in the hot seat real quick and early.
Yeah.
I really think that depends, right? Different platforms are performing differently depending on what kind of business you have and what kind of audience you have. We're seeing a lot of people who have any type of e-commerce merch. They're having great success when it comes to TikTok.
Mhm.
TikTok, which I attribute a lot of that to like the TikTok shop and its popularity. It's been great for that. People who are doing like ASMR style videos, like your local pressure washing company who does ASMR, they're crushing it on TikTok. And then you've got like thought leaders, people who are valuing personal branding and they're crushing it on Facebook, right? Or people who are doing tutorial style content, they're having a time over there on Instagram. So I really think it comes down to your audience and the type of content you're creating, as well as whether you're, offering a service or a product and also where your people are. But this is a good time for social media. I think AI is shaking things up as well. So
Mhm.
for me, I'm going to say it really depends. But all social media is kind of open game right now.
Yeah, and that's the first thing that came to my mind too, is like who's your ideal audience? Because every platform has different, demographics, people engage in different ways. So I think that should be the first question you should ask yourself is like, who are you trying to speak to when you make this type of content? So now with that being said, Evan, I think it's a perfect transition to sort of get your opinion on this. So what sort of content strategies specifically for our clients do you think are working best right now?
So as Brittany mentioned, your content strategy, the way you push it out, is all dependent on your target market or your audience, right? You got the TikToks that have a lot of good stuff for products. Instagram's great for products. Facebook can also be good depending on how you do that stuff. But for our clients, I'm seeing from our, like I said, for our industries and our personal clients, I'm seeing a lot of good feedback with like 15, 20, 30-second videos of almost like how the jobs are being done before, during, after. You have to, it's people's attention span are very short, even people like myself who have a shorter attention spans. It needs to be captured within about 15 seconds or you don't have me interested. Right. So when if you're doing videos that just start talking, people can be like, maybe not, you might get stuff. So it's got to be very engaging right at the very beginning, so that way it captures their attention. And then if you have a little spiel of call us today for holiday lighting, put that towards the end, right?
Mhm.
As far as that, I think like quick little snippets of before, after, during. A person who makes great videos, if I'm going to throw a name out there, is Rusty. So Rusty's pressure
Mm.
washing, for example. He loves his content. And there's a bunch of others that I can mention. But he's just off the top of my head because he loves his content. He does great, and he drives in tons of business simply from his Facebook and Instagram content. Now, this isn't just doing a video once a month. He is doing them once a week, every few days. This is branding. This is pushing out the content. This is doing short videos. So I encourage people to try to get into this world a little bit more because we're almost 2026 to say it. That's crazy, right? We are in a technological based world. We have AI, we have all these different things. So if you're unsure of what to do or what it's supposed to look like, I encourage you to start looking into your competition. Start Facebooking people local to you. Who cares where you have to look? Jump in the Facebook groups, whether it's pressure washing, gutters, roofing. Ask, hey, what is people doing for social media? Try to turn it up a notch because, yeah, short video clips of what you're doing, how you're doing it before, after, durings. that is what's converting, not you talking in front of a mic for 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I want to add to Evan's point of I think oftentimes when we say look at what your competitor is doing, people take that as look at what my competitor is doing and imitate or copy that thing. But you've got to look for what your competitor is doing, what seems to resonate with people, because not all of their content is performing well, right? And so those metrics matter. If you see that they're posting content but nobody's really engaging with it, it doesn't really do much, it's probably telling you that your target audience doesn't really care for that kind of content. So how can you be better than your competitor? Or if you've got a competitor who is crushing it, it's probably not the best idea to mimic or copy them, right? You probably want to say, well, where can I get in and be different? How can I add some value, or how can I shake up the game a little bit when it comes to looking at your competitor? But that is a great point of what is everybody in your area doing, or what are they not doing?
Yeah, and I think to sort of like build off of that, right? Whenever we structure a marketing campaign, whether it's for social media or on Google, we always do a SWOT analysis of the local competition. And I think it's a good reference point to see what your competition might be doing and where they're actually falling short. So then you can sort of jump in and wean your avenue and get traction a little bit quicker.
And another thing, real quick, to chime in on this that could be helpful. It only happens so often throughout the year. And again, this social media and content isn't for everyone. We understand. My father barely knows how to turn a Facebook on, right? He's got 4 friends, me and my brother.
Wait, why is he showing his age how to turn a Facebook on?
I'd say my dad has no idea how to use it. Whatever, you know? So anyways, the local trends. This is something I don't do. You're right. I'm an old school heart, so I don't do all these things. But the local trends, like, you know, the whole Cracker Barrel, for example. Do you know how many posts and content blew up over that I mean, I'm a Cracker Barrel fan. Over that logo. I mean, we posted something joking around about it, and it got like almost 200 likes, all kinds of, you know, content, posts and shares. So try to make some of your posts, if there is a chance, relevant to the way of the world and what everyone's talking about, you know, if it's possible.
Yeah, and that's how you sort of break into the algorithm too, right? Because it's basically like trending. What people want to see, the social media platforms are going to show more of that. So if you can sort of ride that wave a little bit to build the momentum, but obviously staying unique to your brand, right? Don't just copy exactly what everyone else is doing. But now, I know we mentioned AI a few times. So do you have any insights, Lorenz, on like, you know, how AI is changing the way, you know, people produce content for social media? Have you seen anything on your end?
Yeah. So in social media, I always look at my face. I have 3. So I have TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. So whenever I look it up or I see something on my feed, usually the comments would be like, is this AI? So it's like people are already doubtful if the content is like real, legit, or is it something that made from AI. I think AI can be used by our small business owners to their advantage, so long as they know when to stop, you know, the limit. Because
overdo it.
Definitely you can use it, you know, for consistency, for scheduling posts, creating posts in a short span of time. But like if you do it too much, people will be thinking about how legit is this business? Why are they just using these fake stuff? Because when people talk about AI, sometimes they think it's fake. Well, I mean, most of the time it's associated with that. So yeah, they can use it to their advantage or disadvantage, and that's something that they have to look out for.
Yeah, and I think the impact of that and like what sort of the takeaway is not all AI content is good content, right? People can sort of see through what's real, what's not. I know it's getting sometimes hard to tell, but even like in your posts and your captions, like double checking what that message actually looks like. Is it still on brand with who you're speaking to? You know, actually proofreading instead of just copy and pasting things, I think is the biggest thing. Like AI is a tool, not something to fully rely on.
And remove the dashes. If you're using AI content, remove the dashes. That's your big giveaway to everyone when there's a bunch of dashes in the content.
I feel so sad for all the veteran copywriters who naturally organically use M dashes, those little lines, because they're all crying internally that ChatGPT has ruined the use of M dash, right? Like not just ChatGPT, but AI in general, because all these writing tools do it. But I think that also is another thing. I think a lot of people, when they hear AI or AI content, their first mindset is chat GPT content, right? Like,
One of the first platforms that came out.
yeah, it's huge. It's dominating the space, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but there are so many other kinds of AI tools, especially when it comes down to content creation. I think there's two things for any business owner that wants to use AI to help them be consistent and authentic with their content. You've got to understand how to prompt your tools correctly. It's not as simple as just give me something to post on social media today for my gutter cleaning business, right? It's a little bit more in depth than that. Understanding what kind of content you're going to put out and who you're talking to and on what platform, what format and style, and being able to shape your prompts around that. And then the second portion of it is, especially if you are going to be doing Gen AI, so like AI generated images or videos, you got to understand that ChatGPT is one of thousands of AI gen tools, and it really does matter what kind of AI content you're trying to put out. That should define which AI gen tool you use. Don't just rely on ChatGPT. So if you are, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with AI generated content. We also see platforms are embracing it, right? So Instagram and Facebook and all these platforms are allowing you to toggle on to say, hey, this is AI gen content. And I can admit I've been a victim of AI generated content where I'm intrigued by it sometimes. Sometimes it is interesting, right? And if it's done right. I don't think your consumers or like your target audience or your customers necessarily hate AI generated content. But I think from a customer perspective, when I hate AI generated content is when I've got to ask, do you think I'm stupid? I know that's AI. Are you really trying to pass this off as real to me? Like, I know this is AI. Like, let's call a spade, right? So use it well, use it to be funny, use it to be intentional. And like Lauren said, use it for consistency purposes to make sure you're more productive, because managing socials is hard while running a business.
Filler posts. You can use AI for filler posts. Like, hey, it's that time of the year. Like, don't use it every single day for all your single posts. If you're not on social media, try to set up an automated thing where you get one post a week or something, using AI. But like you said, you careful with the photos, because the AI generated photo you use, the guy could be missing a hand and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
It's always the hands.
It's always the hands,
Yeah, it's if there's 6 fingers, missing the fingers.
Yeah, if you ever want to know, if anybody watching wants to know how to point out AI, look at the hands, look at the way somebody walks and moves. They're going to be sliding across the screen 9 times out of 10, or their hands are going to be blurs or blobs that are mixed in with their body.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think that sort of ties into building your brand. I think it's so important because your brand is what's going to resonate with your audience the most. And like being the business owner, sometimes you have to be front facing. Like it's important to have those professional pictures taken of the crew, people in uniform. It just builds the trust factor of people that want to work with your company. They know who's going to show up to their house now. They know who you are as a business owner, and you're not just looking at you as just a general another company that offers a service. So, Brittany, with that being said, why do you think it's important for owners themselves to show up within their brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's multiple layers to this, but I'm going to try to keep it short, sweet as possible. The first layer is something I always say: people buy from people. We will always desire human connection. Like we choose to go with one business over the other sometimes because we connected with a person within that business a little bit more than we did with someone else, right? So to remove all personal aspects of your business, regardless of what the trends are or how in-depth technology becomes, would be a disservice to yourself, because people want to buy from people, especially if you have a good story or a good why behind your business exists, or why you do what you do, or why you serve who you serve. That is a powerful testament to attracting the right people to your business. The other portion of it is we tell business owners all the time not to try to fit in, but to figure out how they're going to stand out in their market, especially if your area is competitive, especially if your industry is competitive. And so, as we just touched on AI, everybody's doing AI. It's a race to the bottom right now with AI. Everybody's getting into it. Everybody's posting AI gen content. Everybody's trying to understand AI. And I think sometimes when you see people doing one thing, it's kind of fun to go against the grain, right? And so if we're seeing business owners stray from that personable side of content and people are relying more heavily on AI content, that's a unique positioning for your brand to have a a really personable approach for the brand owner to be out there, to tell their story, to connect with their customers. It's going to set you apart. Even if you're mixing AI into it, that personal branding is so important still. It'll give you a strong tie. And for any service-based business that's local, there's a community impact that you'll be missing if you don't have a personal brand. But that's also just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like anybody that calls Mr. Pipeline and just like has a conversation with us, you're gonna hear me use the word personable a lot, because that's what's gonna resonate the most. Like it's like you said, people always want to buy from people. They always want to see who they're working with. Like they feel a connection, as opposed to like, oh, I'm just, and then it's not a race to the bottom when it comes to price, because it's like, I want to work with this company. I want to give them my money, because it just seems like somebody I want to support within the community. And then Lorenz, like being client facing, do you see more people connecting with the business when they sort of personify their brand? Can you see that in like real time with the clients that we work with?
Yes, for sure. So what I do when I talk about clients and what are the things that they can do aside from, the marketing stuff, what are the organic stuff that they can take advantage of so they don't have to pay for it. These are free things. And I always tell them to take photos. If you have guys in uniforms that are working, it would be best to have them uploaded to your website, to your social media postings. That's simply because people can see that you are a legitimate company, that these are men in uniform with that brand, with that logo. It means that they are real, because it's very easy to create a social media account. Sometimes you don't even have an email address for that. You can create dummy accounts all the time. And it's very easy for people to just get scammed, and people are trying to be smart about it. How can you prove that your business is legit? If you don't have anything else, GBP or whatever, then at least they can see that these are people working in uniforms and with their logo and everything else. So they must be like real people, which is going back to what Bernie said.
As long as they have their hands, you know that they're real.
No, AI is getting good at that too, though. If you use the right tools, they're gonna have their hands.
You gotta type in all the right things, like it's a mathematical equation.
Yeah, you gotta know how to prompt.
It's ridiculous. But to follow up on Loren's, statement, it's one of the easiest things I can tell somebody is, if you look. So let's go based on the website, right? We have so many clients, obviously websites all across this country, right? And we have the ones who take the time to get the professional photos, get the branding, get it all down, and get it, set in stone on the website. Then you have the ones that just have their generic photos of the jobs they do. No matter what, it all looks good in my opinion. But if you told me to say, hey, you have a choice to pick, the branded website with the guys in the shirts, in the videos and things like that, it's a night and day difference of the user experience, the feel. And to be honest, like when we have our clients that actually spend the time doing their branding and making sure those guys are in their shirts, whatever, those are the websites we share. Because even somebody like myself, who's seen thousands and thousands of websites, from someone's daughter making it on Paint to a professional company, the branded ones always stand out between the logo colors, the website colors, the shirts, the truck wraps, the trailer. It just tells a story without even realizing it, in other words. So branding's huge.
Yeah, that's why, building your actual brand is so important too, because like, it's like if they come across your site, they come across your social media page, like the goal is every time they think of your industry, they should be thinking of you.
Or if they see you on the streets, they're like, I've seen that guy. Look at all these just brands in general. Like obviously not your nationwide stores, but like all your high-end luxury designer clothes. Like literally they go based off of logos. That's all they are. Their material is crap. And even though it's overpriced, everything is based on a logo. So that's all branding. And I have high-end stuff too, and I still think it's crap.
That's one way to be honest.
And I think that's
the brand is able to charge more based on having that longevity of, hey, we're the best. Look at us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a brand builds trust, and that's the power. Like once you build your brand, you're basically building a community, and you're building trust within everybody that you work with. So like, I think a good example of this is if you sponsor local community events, right? You want to make sure you're sharing that on social, tagging the event center or whoever that you're working with. That's going to boost everybody that follows them in the local community. that's building your brand. So and I think another thing too is like testimonials, because like everybody has reviews nowadays, but who's going to take the time to actually record a customer talking good on video? Like that means you did such a great job. They're willing to stand in front of a camera for your business and talk about your brand. Like there's nothing more solid for building trust than somebody getting in front of a camera on video and talking about your brand. That doesn't actually like work for the company, let's just say. So that's just another thing to think about, guys. Like you can get creative with this. You can even provide incentives for a customer. Like, hey, I saw you had such a good experience. You wrote this great review. Like, I want you to be a part of our brand, and I want you to share that because obviously your best customers become your cheerleaders. So leverage them and take it a step further. Like I'm sure a lot of people would even be honored to do this. And I know sometimes it's hard to get that review, but if you're standing in front of a customer and shaking their hand, like take it a step further, man. Ask for a testimonial. I think that's going to be more impactful than anything.
And we touched on branding and like the visual aspects of it and the personified portion of it, right? We talk about the logos and the people and stuff. But I think what people often forget is like your brand is also how people feel when the name comes up or when they see something related to you. Your brand is what your business stands for. Your brand is how your employees show up for people in their community, right? And so sometimes we do focus a lot on, or I see business owners get caught up in branding being the logo and the colors and things like that, but it does go a little bit further than that. So I love the point of like getting involved in the community. And if you're doing sponsorships or events, right, like those are important aspects of who you are at the core as a company, and you definitely want to spotlight and showcase that.
And I don't want anybody to overlook that. A brand is how it makes your customers feel when they think about your company. That is such a powerful statement. And I think that's where a lot of things sort of get missed, right? The logo, the design, everything's great, but the brand is a feeling. So let's talk about,
a lot of people are getting sick of the big corporate companies, right? For me personally, there's not going to be a corporate company that ever steps through my front door of my house to do any work ever. Not the roof, not the outside. It's always going to be the local company who has the good brand. If I don't know somebody in the field, well, thankfully I have all my connections. But if I don't know somebody and I'm looking on Google, personally, and I know this for a lot of people, they're not hiring the Roto-Rooters of the gutter company, right? If you have really good advertising and marketing, you're going to have that certain group of people that just have no idea and just hire whoever. But a lot of times, and especially these days, people are trying to hire more local and, family oriented, type businesses. Again, just rather than that, monster franchise. So branding helps, paint that picture for them.
Yeah, it's so true. I generally want to go out and support people. Like I'll give the extra, like even if it's a mom and pop shop, like a bakery, let's just say, and that's just a general example, right? I almost want to give them a little bit extra and like give a tip and do things like, and go out of my way to go there, passing all the different stores along the way,
drive past the Starbucks, go to the local brew shop,
Exactly.
I think one of the reasons why we tend to go to the small business owners is because we know that there's a person working hard behind that, not earning too much, unlike the big corporations who are probably using machines for their products. But these are, people who spent sweat and effort.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
We just want to support them because of that. And when I was working also, related to the reviews and everything, when I was working in customer service, I've been informed that only 2 people will give you a survey or a review. It's either the people who are very happy with your service or it's the people that you piss off. Because if it's a mediocre service, I'm not going to spend my time, writing a review for you. It's just okay. It's not going to help your business. So fine. But if I'm very happy, I know that this review is going to help out a lot. I'm going to go ahead and write that for you. Or if I'm really pissed off, right? I'm trying to get your attention.
You down.
Right. But that adds to another point, because we talk about social media too, and we think of the traditional forms of social media. I think for a lot of service-based local businesses, you need to start treating your Google business profile as social media as well, because it is meant to be a social part of your local community. So I know it's really easy to overlook it or only think of it as far as I've got my business name up there, I've got my website, my phone number, and we get reviews. but you should be engaging with people on your reviews. You should be responding to those reviews. You should be posting photos of your team, posting stuff about your business, the brand, all of those things, especially because the people who are going to see that are your ideal customers 9 times out of 10. Because if your Google business profile is coming up, somebody's doing a search for a service or a company in that area, and you are that company. So if you treat that profile like a social profile, all these pointers and tips that we're giving out, if you apply that to your Google business profile, you're going to see a lot of growth happening there.
Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing now is like Google actually indexes social pages now. So like being active on social media, I mean, not posting just to post, posting with a purpose, I think is the best way to do it. But like that's gonna affect how like you're found online in general. And a lot of people do overlook. Like I look at business profiles every single day and I can tell the ones that are putting the work and I can tell the ones that aren't, and your customers can see the same thing. So if I can tell, your customers can tell. So definitely, take that, make it actionable. And that's the biggest thing I want to transition off as we sort of like wrap up today's podcast. Like I want to talk about actionable strategies that our clients can actually, take home today after watching the podcast. So what's the number one piece of advice you'd give a business owner who's starting to social media market today? And this is just a general question for whoever wants to answer it or jump in.
Be active.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our CEO has a saying that I used to give him hell for when he used to tell it to us, but it's so true. He used to say, just take imperfect action. I think that's the hardest thing, is to start and to keep going. We get stuck, especially with social media, because it's like shining a spotlight on yourself. You get stuck in this mindset trap of like, I need it to be perfect. The post has to be perfect. It needs to go viral. It needs to do all these things and all these unrealistic expectations. And I'm telling you, as somebody who is a content consumer, a lot of times when I'm searching for local businesses, I'm really just looking for somebody who's showing up for their business, regardless of who's watching or how many likes they get. Sometimes I may find somebody locally on like Google, and I go to their business profiles on social, and they're not active, where they don't post at all, or they post one time a year with this sparkly, overly produced post. I'm probably gonna see what else is out there in my local market. But like the business owners who are showing up, who post consistently, and I don't even have to second guess if you're still in business. I'm probably gonna reach out to you, or I'm more likely just to work with you, right? Like it shows a certain type of effort. So take imperfect action and try to be consistent with it, because that's really the only way you're gonna get better, anyways, is with consistently doing it. You're gonna learn what works, what doesn't.
It's funny you said something that caught my attention, how you go from Google to Facebook. That was a very millennial thing to say. But the thing is, we are the new generation for the home service for businesses. We have the boomers. Again, they're here, but they're getting older and older and older, and they're going to rely on their grandkids and everything else to help them find businesses. Well, with us being the new generation of owning homes and apartments and whatever else, we are the first like technological generation. Technically, everyone behind us, I mean, they're screwed. But we are like the first. We have that generation of the phone book and all that stuff, and then we're also that generation that was introduced to technology and colored phones. So our generation is going to use social media and Google and other platforms like that to find businesses. And I mean, that's just simply what it is.
Yeah. And I think we live in a content driven age. Like, like you said, the next generation is here, right? So I think when I think of social media, it's right place, right time. If you get in front of me at the right place and the right time, like I'm going to take action. So like having that consistency, like Ren said, is so important. Like building your brand is so important. Posting your culture is so important, because that's all going to affect my decision as the consumer.
Yeah, my tip on this one is that stick to your brand, believe in it, do the work, and the right audience will find you. Because like if you try to, so for example, for Mr. Pipeline, we have promos and everything else, and then sometimes other business owners, they think the cheaper the better, and so you would try to compete with the cheaper brands, but then in the end you won't keep the customer because they're just not aligned with what we can provide and how much it is. It's really, we have to stick with what we can give out, why we are priced that way, and the right audience will find us.
Provide value, in other words. I have a friend right now who's like is great. You might even watch his podcast when it's released. He has an HVAC business that he took over from his father, you know, things along those lines. And he's been like, his posts that he was posting on his on his business page were like personal posts, and like they just had like feelings involved and whatever. And I was like, hey, don't do that. Like, you at your business page, post things that are business related, the way you speak, the content that you put, the verbiage, it's business related. So I would pretty much was coaching him, and like he took it and ran with it. So it's just, you know, just again, like you guys are saying, if you're new into the business, go ahead and post things. If it doesn't get 100 likes, oh well, you're developing traffic. Just keep going and try to get better as time goes on.
Yeah, and you know, we understand that like everybody who's out in the field, like you're so busy and you get caught up in the day to day, and accountability is a very hard thing. So just so you guys are aware, I'm just going to go ahead and announce this on the podcast, might as well. We actually just launched our organic social posting service. So it's optimized for search engines. It's made to help build your brand, get you in the right place at the right time. So if you struggle with social media and you need that extra push, definitely reach out to us. Give us a call. We're more than happy to either add some insight or see how we can, you know, just help build your brand on social media. Because like we said, this next generation is here, and, you know, 9 times out of 10, I mean, that's going to be that final ditch effort if somebody's trying to make a decision. So
let's be real, the generation behind us is almost here. Some of these guys making some of this money on their videos and their TikToks and their YouTubes and their gaming stuff. They all eventually need people. They live all over the country. So the generation behind us, as crazy it is to say, now we're getting older. They're here as well, almost.
Yeah. This is how people are born nowadays.
And I fell right out of the womb.
Yeah, exactly. So take advantage of it, guys, man. If you guys have questions, drop it in the comments below. We're more than happy to help. Just add more insight. If there's something that you're not too sure of, or you need references, or you need that extra help, man, give us a call, man. We're more than happy to help. I think this was a great conversation. Brittany, Evan, Lorenz, thank you so much for your insight, man. I think this was a great episode. I think a lot of people are going to find value in what we said for today. So definitely take it home, hold yourselves accountable, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.